What's up, YouTube? This is Allie with Solace and Symmetry Fitness. Today we're talking about diastasis. It's so hard to say, recti. And what this is a separation of the rectus abdominis musculature. That's the outermost layer of our abdominals that sort of sits on top and kind of goes from here all the way down to the hip, so the ribs to the hip. And what can happen is we get a bulge here. It can happen during pregnancy. Obviously, that would be your baby, and those abdominals can separate because the baby is growing into that space. We can also have that happen when we just get some more like belly adipose tissue, like belly fat in that area. And also when we get sort of an arching of our low back and an opening up through that space and a change in the pressure gradient in our body that pushes air into that space and causes those abs to separate. What happens is a thinner lining of tissue sort of comes forward, and you'll notice during a crunch, you might have a dome shape that happens when you crunch. So this video is about how to address that. So how do we do that? I am going to go through the steps one by one, all the way from step 1 all the way to step 10. Where does it go? And we're going to go through how to go from having diastasis recti all the way to being able to do more advanced core moves. This is the kind of stuff that I do with my clients. I work with quite a few people who are dealing with diastasis recti, and I hope you find this useful. I want to say, just like before the video begins, that you want to really progress and keep that bulge down the entire time. If you jump ahead in the levels too quickly without having control, then you won't be able to progress properly, and you can be injured if you go to the level you're not ready for first. So be really consistent. Make sure that the lower level core exercises you try to do at least 3 to 4 days a week. If you don't do that, it's going to be hard to progress to the more advanced levels. With that, let's get started. So for our first step, we are going to grab our foam roller and we are going to roll out our low back. So when we're dealing with diastasis recti, you typically see this elongated position in the front of the body. The ribs are up. The hips are in this kind of anterior tilt. They're tipped forward. So a lot of times that a tight low back is going to contribute to this. So first thing we're going to do is just get on our roller and roll to one side, not rolling on the spine. And I'm just going to roll up and down just on the muscle. I'm avoiding my spine, and I'm breathing in and out here. So you can also roll your body forward and back if rolling up and down is just too much. And you can also stay on points and breathe through areas that are particularly tight. So now we'll go to step 2. Alrighty, so here we're going to grab our Dynadisc pad. You can also use a pillow. I'm going to put it in my hip crease, kind of up in there, and then lean over the top. From here, I'm going to breathe into my back space. So I'm just trying to expand through the back where my ribs are in the back of my body. And I'm trying to feel the stretch in my low back. Right there, I should feel an elongation. It's kind of gentle. Your hips might not touch your feet. That's okay. You can also do this exercise seated if that feels better for your hips or knees. And we're going to go to our third step. Now we are getting into stomach vacuums. So I'm going to use something for support, either a wall. I'm using the cage here in this instance, and I'm drawing up and in through my deep core. I'm just trying to pull up and hold for a couple of seconds. So you can see here, I'm really drawing up as much as I can You might not be able to draw up that high. That is totally fine. It's going to get easier over time. So I'm just going to draw up, hold for 2, and then at the end, I'm going to hold for as long as I can. If you struggle to breathe through this, then just take breaks and you'll get better at it with time. And now we'll go to step 4. I'm going to go flat on my back. I'm going to exhale my ribs down over my hips. I'm going to pull in and vacuum through my deep core, and then I'm going to use my finger to make sure there's no doming that I was talking about at the beginning. And we're just going to do a little march here. You're just going to make sure there's absolutely no doming and really pull in through that deep core. This is absolutely level 1. Once you can master that, what we're going to do is bring our knees up and just hold the knees above the hip. All right. So I'm still making sure with my fingers going across my body, there's nothing going on, no doming, and I'm able to hold my core in. And then from there, once you can master that, we're going to alternate our legs. So never skip a step. Make sure you can do the first exercise and master it before moving on to the next. Still pulling in, I'm still checking. And then the next progression would be dropping down, 1 at a time. And if all of these are too tough, what you can also do is start out with your legs on the ground and just moving the arms. Now we're moving on to 6. Just as a quick aside, you can also keep your knees up and bring your arms back if moving your legs forward is too challenging in step 5 at first. We are going to get onto all 4s. I'm going to exhale my rib cage down, feel to make sure I'm not doming. I'm going to check in periodically with my doming. And now I'm just going to keep my spine totally straight and kick my leg back. You don't want to lose that spinal position. I can do a hold to start, then progress. I'm going to reach and touch. This is our bird dog. I can also do little pulses, and I can also go side to side with my hand and leg. I can also add weight to my ankle or my hand to progress. Just keep checking in to make sure you're not doming here. And we're moving to our next step. From here, we are going to move into our side plank. This is the modified side plank with a bent knee on the bottom. I'm checking for that bulge and I'm not feeling it. So I can progress to the dips. You can do a hold if the dips make you dome. From here, I can also progress to a full plank. That is kind of a big jump. So make sure you have a really solid foundation and you can do the modified version for a minute before attempting the full version. Again, you can do stationary or with a dip. So keep checking, swiping sideways across your stomach to make sure that you're not doming here. And if you want to add a more advanced version, that is going to be a little bit more advanced and down the road. All right. And we are going to our next step here. Level 8 here is going to be an incline plank. Planks are particularly challenging if you have diastasis recti. And so we can start by just making sure that we don't have any doming in this position. And if we do, you can also elevate your hips and create a little bit of a boxy shape. Also, make sure that your spine is staying really straight and is not dipping. We can progress, once that feels good, to a step out or a climber. We can do knee in climbers or reach that knee towards that same side elbow. We're taking deep breaths here and just paying attention to that spinal position. Now we're moving on to step number 9. We're getting there. So step 9 here is going to be more advanced anti-extension. I'm going to keep my back really flat on the floor. I can go forward with my legs and my arms or just the legs together. And I'm making sure that I can still breathe in this position and there's absolutely no bulging. Now I can move into a full plank. Same thing with incline plank, I can keep my hips kind of high. So if I need to go even higher than this, I can. My posture kind of sucks here, but that's okay. Keeping the hips up is totally fine, and you can slowly move back down. And then I can go into some knee taps, and I can also go into other variations such as a hip twist. You can touch the floor or you can stay higher. And now we are going to move on to step 10, finally, which is advanced core. Now we're working in power. So I'm going to go into some climbers here. I'm going to maybe build up some speed if I want to. That's kind of my thing. I'm going to jump forward and back, kind of like a half burpee. Go into that full burpee. Once we have the foundational control, we can everything's in our wheelhouse in our core, pretty much. When you crunch, you want to be so careful. Make sure you're always checking to make sure there's no doming. You need to completely heal your diastasis recti before you attempt any crunches, any of these more advanced moves. These are Pilates hundreds. I'm kind of moving in and out. That's another Pilates-esque move. Go into some star crunches now. Those are nasty. You can always do them partial reps, but these are advanced. So this is the level after you've healed everything, after you've done everything. This is what should open up, but approach it with care and make sure you're checking for that doming. You're listening to your body, and there should be no pain and a flat stomach with that control. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a great one.